happy to meet you here, Prof. And then the Excellency, Dr. Fides del Castillo from De La Salle University, Manila. Thank you so much again for the faculty, staff, and lecturer, student from Aviation Politeknik of Makassar. Uh, Starting my opening speech today, I take a statement from Davis in 1997. He stated that writing in a scientific style maybe hard, we underline here, maybe hard in the beginning for novices, but clear communication and concise writing for scientific audience can be trained. This is two important praise that we highlighted here, hard and can be trained. Where are the facts, and we are believe that in each dissertation, thesis, or scripture in Indonesia, where apply for undergraduate student, there are many new idea, new concept about education and other field which is disseminated in the community will have a positive impact and benefit the wider community. Constructive criticism so that we begin to grow and cultivate writing scientific article and publishing them, especially for doctoral candidates. I think uh, so that the resulting dissertation does not only to print, but to become a doctor, but also need to be accompanied by scientific work that are beneficial to society, both society and the academic environment, and also for general public. Sometimes as a student, we there are vanitum which is quite popular among actually in doctoral student. They say that a good dissertation is a dissertation that can make you easily to get a doctor, or strata tiga in bahasa Indonesia. And the term has the point, and in fact it is like that because not all students who take the doctoral program have earned a doctoral degree may drop out on the way of their study. uh, Dissemination of thesis or scripture or dissertation as a form of a scientific publication of research result, and then has been entrenched in higher education circle in general, even though this has become an obligation for publication since the last few years. um, and then from student for students from undergraduate to doctoral degree wish to complete their study, they are required to write scientific article resulting from their dissertation, their thesis, and a state in the circular of a Director General of Learning and Student Affairs in our Ministry of Education, uh, uh, a state that graduate in undergraduate program should be report or upload their work in Dicti or Rama portal, and then in for graduate who of the master program should be published in accredited scientific journal, and then someone who in doctoral program should be published in Scopus or Thomson Reuters indexing. So uh, in conclusion, I think scientific publication is the spirit of a university or a college. Without it, a university cannot be said to be a living education institution. And I'm sure, and we all agree that the culture of scientific publication in a university environment must be increased as much as possible by requiring all undergraduate program, master program, and doctoral program to write and disseminate the result of their research. Not only publish in domestic or in regional journal in their university or in their domestic journal, but also in international level or foreign journal. Hopefully, in the future of human resource of our university of college will become great human being, not only great for themselves but also great and useful for society with real work. The last but not the least, hopefully, through this activity, we all are motivated to open up special space for each other in field of cooperation, both national and also international level. Collaboration in strengthening institution in the three dharma of higher education, which include education, research, and community service. And hopefully, among us from Aviation, Politeknik of Makassar, State University of Makassar, Islamic State University of Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, my university, Universitas Muhammadiyah Rapang, Sri Mata Fascino Devi University India, Kuriba University Pakistan, and De La Salle University Manila Philippines will can make a good collaboration after this in terms of education and research collaboration and also community service. Thank you so much again, Pastor Bukhirat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Di unmute mungkin Ibu. You are in unmute.
Mungkin kayaknya giliran saya. The Honorable, the Head of Civil Aviation Human Resources Development Center, Mr. Heri Sudarmaji, Honorable Director of Muhammadiyah University of Sidanreng Rapang, representative by Dr. Andi Asripan, and Honorable of all of the speakers and panelists for this international seminars. We have Dr. Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University of India, Madam Fidels del Castillo, ND, from De La Salle University, Manila, Engineering, Dr. Muhammad Mujtaba Asad, Head of Educational Technology and TVET Research, from Sukur Institute of Business Administration, University, Pakistan, Professor Muhammad Basri from State University of Makassar, and Dr. Lika Raskofa Berlina from Islamic State University Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Indonesia. And also distinguished participants, students, and cadets. I would like to welcome all of you to our first international webinar organized by Aviation Politeknik of Makassar and Muhammadiyah University of Sidanreng Rapang, Indonesia. Distinguished speakers and participants, it is my pleasure to extend to all of you a very warm welcome on behalf of the committee and to say how grateful we are to have Mala Vaishno Devi University India, De La Salle University Manila, Sukur Institute of Business Administration Pakistan, State University of Makassar and Islamic State University Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang, Indonesia, who have accepted our invitation to convene this international webinar on global challenge in aviation and education. And we done it virtually through a Zoom meeting. It is gratifying to note that the agenda of the international webinars cover a wide range of very interesting items relating to the global challenge in aviation and education, especially in research and publication. And I believe that Dr. Andi Asrifan already explained in detail the importance of research for each degree of the education in Indonesia, from diploma, degree, and then master until the PhD or doctoral. Educational research is important because it is conducted in order to provide trustworthy information regarding educational problem and their solutions. There are many things that need to be considered when looking at what educational research is. For example, some thought need to be put into looking at current paradigms, what counts as evidence in educational research, maintaining quality, and the role of peer review in validating new knowledge in educational research. The major outcome that we expect from this event, this webinar, is the participants are able to gain a better knowledge about writing articles and its publications. Then we also hope that there will be a good cooperation between the events involved in this webinar through creating and signing and also implementing the cooperation through having a memorandum of understanding in research and community services. We would like to wish all the participants could enjoy this webinar, and we hope this webinar can inspire ideas and discussion about how to compile good articles and publish it. Distinguished speakers and participants, I would like, on behalf of the committee and our college, again to thank you to all of the speakers and panelists, and also the participants for accepting our invitation, and would like to extend my gratitude towards Head of Civil Aviation Human Resources Development Center, Mr. Heri Sudarmaji, for encouraging us to conduct a seminar like this. I am again thankful to you, sir, for your kind support, suggestion, and guidance given to us as and when required. And I feel honored to welcome all of the participants, students, facilitators, panelists, and speakers for taking a keen part in this important program. I'm sure that you all will feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this event. And again, I welcome you all once again to the seminar and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so how about for question and the opening, sir, for the international webinar?
Oh, okay, you want me to open this seminar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and with these remarks, I declare this seminar open and wish you all fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for personally opening the international webinar. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the next speech will be delivered by the Head of the Civil Aviation Human Resource Development Center, Insinyur Heri Sudarmaji, DAA, KA. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat siang, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu. Good afternoon for all. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ahmad Barawi, Direktur Politeknik Penerbangan Makassar, Yang saya hormati Bapak Dr. Andi Asrifan, MPD, atau yang mewakili dari Universitas Muhammadiyah Cindereng Rapang. Yang saya hormati Ibu Dr. Lika Raskofa Oktaberlina dari Universitas Negeri Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. Yang saya hormati Bapak Profesor Muhammad Basri, MA, PhD dari Universitas Negeri Makassar. The Honorable Mr. Amitabh Vikram Bipedi, Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University from India. The Honorable Mr. Muhammad Mujiba Asad, Head of Educational Technology and TVET Research, Syukur IBI University from Pakistan. The Honorable Mr. Fides del Castillo de la Salle University from Manila, and all of the participants. First of all, I say thank for everyone on international webinar on global challenge in aviation and education with the topic article writing and publication. And I would like to speak about the importance of publication and access to research results. Currently, one of the important points in carrying out the function of the Tridharma of higher education by lecturer is to carry out and publish the result of this truth and analysis. Lecturer would then become the performer of department, faculties, and colleagues are very supportive of the broad performance and quality of the publication of their permanent lecture. Publication demand made by the academic community of higher education have a considerable impact on the awareness of lecturers who conduct studies, research, and write scientific papers. The development of scientific work in Indonesia is relatively in a better grade, especially since implementing government regulation, which oblige undergraduate, postgraduate, to doctoral students to write articles in scientific journal as a prerequisite for a graduation. Referring to the regulation of the Ministry of State Apparatus Empowerment and Bureaucratic Reform, and regulation of the Ministry of Education and Culture, the promotion of lecturer academic position required publication in accredited national scientific journal and reputable international journal in their respective field. This policy provides a direction so that the scientific publication of lecturer functional position in Indonesia continues to be improved. The purpose of this publication is to disseminate the finding of studies and research based on evidence in the field at the local, national, regional, and international level. Many facts from studies and research results are actually very important and interesting to be assessed and used as very important material for making decisions. Still, they are difficult to obtain, to access, reach by policymaker or user. This is because the result of studies or research by researcher, lecturer, and studies are not widely published. Digital journal, like a journal through to open journal system, are an excellent means of publishing research result in wider scope. This is expected to increase a good reputation for reference from Indonesian writer and case for scientific development. Citation of lecturer scientific work will increase indexable quality and index publication affect the reputation and visibility of the university where the lecturer is located. The low commitment of lecturer in publishing research result through scientific periodical is also due to several things, such as the ability to write scientific article is in scientific periodically, and then developing a writing culture. Another is motivation to write. Publication for lecturer, in addition to increase university ranking, can also develop research result as teaching material that are always updated and developed according to scientific and practical development. Based on information from the Ministry of Research, Technology, and Higher Education, lecturers who have never conducted research and publication have a low ability to write research-based textbook. In fact, the Ministry of Research, Technology, and Higher Education also emphasizes the performance assessment of lecture based on research and community service published through science work. The government, in this case, the Directorate of Intellectual Property Management of the Ministry of Research, Technology, and Higher Education, has made several efforts to increase the motivation of lecturer in publishing scientific work. In Indonesia, there have been several universities that issued policies on the incentive for the publication of lecturer scientific article in index journal. Incentive categories provided by higher education include lecturer who publish scientific article in international journal indexed by Scopus, Thomson Reuters, and Microsoft Academic Short. Lecturer who publish scientific article in international journal published by foreign institution and indexed in addition to Scopus, Thomson Reuters, Microsoft Academic Short. Lecturer who publish scientific article in international journal published by institution in Indonesia, indexed in addition to Scopus, Thomson, Reuters, and Microsoft Academic. Should for other ways to increase the number of publications to be indexed are increase the number of quality researchers and distribute research result to the public so that the research results are effective and improve welfare. Increase the productivity of researcher lecturer in producing quality national and international scientific article. Growing and increasing the number of articles written by lecturer or researchers in national and international scientific journal will strengthen Indonesia journal in international areas. Some of the indicators commonly used to assess the scientific productivity of the lecturer are the number and quality of scientific publication. In addition, the award recognizes his work and scientific integrity, as well as the level of scientific activity and participation in scientific institution, seminar, workshop, and other scientific activities. The government has made various efforts to encourage all tertiary institutions in Indonesia to develop the professionalism of their lecturer and product expert and scientists in various fields in the future. The publication of scientific paper is sprint a spirit of university. In this case, lecturer as the most important element in higher education have the responsibility for building an academic culture in them. The life and death of university really depend on the extent of the tradition of writing and publication of scientific paper that are born from lecture. Therefore, therefore, without scientific work and publication, lecturer are nothing. Our act is the act of networking. The internet has connected you us to the world on the other side. We can access journal from anywhere. It's reminding us who must have the will to write. However, to be able to penetrate quality scientific journal require special tricks. Among them, a lecturer must be able to package study issues in an attractive manner. Sometimes the topic of study is simple, but because the perspective of the issue raised is not so attractively, the writing becomes flat so that it is rejected by journal manager. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Santi Santi Santio.
Thank you. Well, now we come to our session on international webinar on global challenge in aviation and education, theme, article writing and publication, with moderator Aditya Octaviani, SSMH. Time is yours.
Thank you, host. Well, good afternoon. Once again, on behalf of Aviation Politeknik of Makassar and Muhammadiyah University of Sidenreng Rapang, Indonesia, I would like to thank you all for finding time and joining today's webinar. My name is Aditya and I am here as moderator. Our topic for today is article writing and publication. And before we start, let me explain how you can talk to us during this webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, please just write them to the Q&A box and make sure that you mention your name and also your affiliation. Okay, so for today's webinar, we have 5 presenters, 5 speakers. And all of the presenters will have around 20 minutes to deliver their presentation and 10 minutes for the Q&A session. Before the presentation begins, let me briefly introduce our today's presenter. Our first presenter is Dr. Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi. He is Assistant Professor of Linguistics at Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, India. His research interests include language documentation, writing descriptive grammars, and the preservation of rare and endangered language in South Asia. He has contributed papers to many science citation index, Scopus journals, and research articles to knowledge resources, chiefly EBSCO, and to encyclopedias, chiefly with Sass, Roman, and Littlefield, Springer, and ABC CLIO publication. His most recent books are A Grammar of Hadoti, which was published in 2012, A Grammar of Badar Wahi was published in 2013, and a poetry collection, which was published in 2015 in Hindi. Our second presenter is Dr. Engineer Muhammad Mustaba Asad, Head of Educational Technology and TVET Research at Syukur Iba University, Pakistan. He has national and international working experience of more than 12 years at industrial and educational sector in the domain of educational technologies, work and product-based education and TVET. Currently, he is serving as an assistant professor and head of educational technology and TVET research at Syukur Iba University, Pakistan. He has published more than 70 research articles reputed in international journals and conferences worldwide. Also, 2 books related to the observational skills of competent educators under the CS Publishing House, USA, is in his publication credit. Dr. Mustaba has supervised 8 PhD and MS research students so far. He has also received several awards in international research and development competition in Malaysia, Korea, Saudi Arabia, and UAE on his commercialized projects, also serving as an editorial board member to 15 reputed and indexed international journals. He also holds several international copyrights and has filed 1 patent under the title HASFO Expert 1.0 for drilling operation. Next, our third presenter is Dr. Lika Raskofa Berlina, Magister of Education. She accomplished her TESOL BA at the State University of Malang, TESOL Master Program at the Monash University of Australia, and TESOL PhD program at the State University of Malang. She is academically successful by achieving major scholarship grants, such as Indonesian Government Scholarship, Australian Development Scholarship, and Ministry of Religion Affairs Scholarship with excellent results. Wonderful. Her professional positions are more than enough to certify her as a qualified individual. She is currently the president of the Association of English Language Lecturers and Teachers of Indonesia, ELITE, and she was also a former head of the Chief of English Education Department and English Literature Department of Islamic State University Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang and Kanjuruhan University. She was also involved in working at the research division of Max Planck Institute of Evolutionary and Anthropology of Leipzig, Germany. And she has also become a speaker in multiple occasions within the scope of teaching English as a second or foreign language, public speaking, teacher professional development, personality development, and excellent service. She has published several books in reputable publication that are designed for students, teachers trainers, director of studies and material writers under her specialization as well, such as public speaking, English language, and excellent service. Next, our fourth presenter is Professor Muhammad Basri, MA PhD from State University of Makassar. He has been participating in many English instruction developments that are published in Scopus Index Journal. He has more than 20 international journals published since 2016. And he did also publish 2 books, One of it was recently published in 2019, titled Contextual English for Junior High School Students. And not only that, he is also participating in about 8 researches since 2014, and his main research will be started in next year, in 2021. Last but not least, our fifth presenter is Ms. Fides del Castillo, Doctor of Educational. She works as a Department Chair Theology and Religious Education in De La Salle University, Manila. Since 2013, she has been published more than 20 journals and 6 books. She has also acted as an editorial board of international journals since 2019 till present. Well, without further ado, I would like to welcome our first presenter, to Dr. Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi. Time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, organizer, and all the other keynote speakers and participants. So the topic that I have selected for my presentation is how we can publish. Sharing the slide, and I hope now you are able to see the slide. And the title is Understanding Online Publishing Process, How to Publish in a Scholarly Journal. So we know that nowadays most of the journals, or almost all the journals, they are online. Previously, the journals, those were offline as well. So most of the journals reputed in different directories, and which directories are good for us. For example, the topmost directory is SCI, that is your Web of Science. Previously known as Reuters, but now it is Clarivate, and the Scopus. And we have other directories as well, where thousands of journals they are listed. So first thing is we need to understand that which journals are important for us, and which are falling under the field of expertise on which we are writing. So this is the first step we undertake once we start writing for a journal. So searching is one thing. Also, another thing is we need to find out what type of articles a particular journal publishes. We need to look at those articles. We need to read the abstract, what type of abstract that is there. Also, we need to go to the guidelines. We need to follow which style sheet a particular journal follows. For example, we have style sheets like MLA style sheet, Chicago style sheet, APA, and others. So generally, academic journals, they follow these 3 style sheets, either APA, a Chicago style sheet, or MLA. So we need to know how to cite our research paper accordingly in that particular style sheet mentioned in the journal. That's also the case. When we consider research articles, then again the length of the research article also varies. So they vary from short communications like of 1 page to review papers that is of few pages, and full articles that goes up to 8,000 words. So all are considered academic publications, research publications, but you need to cross-question yourself whether you are ready for a short communication, you are ready for a review paper or book review, or you are ready for a full article. Because accordingly, you need to submit and you need to find out the journals. There are some micro articles as well of 3 to 4 pages that are also published in different journals. So this is the nature of articles lengthwise, and you need to select journals accordingly to the requirement of that journal. If they require full articles, and if you are submitting short communication or review papers, then your paper is going to be rejected. So there should not be any mismatch between your production, like your paper, and the requirement of the journal. That is first thing. Though there is always a case that you can have a communication with the editors, the members of the editors, and you can tell your honest opinion that what you want to contribute, your type of submissions. That is always there, but still you need to go to the website and search thoroughly before writing a mail or submitting. There is also a possibility that certain people they are into hit and run type of, or like trial and error type of, like you are just submitting and you do not know whether it is going to be it is appropriate for journal or not. So sometimes you won't hear any communication from the journal. So this story is always there, because daily an editor of a reputed journal receives hundreds of mails regarding this publication, that publication. So you need to keep a little bit of patience as well. So it's not the case like you have submitted now and within a week you start troubling the editor. So you need to wait at least for 1 month and then write a correspondence mail that, okay, I have submitted via mail on this date and I have not received any response or any feedback. So that approach you need to adopt. As I said, like different length of the articles are there. So again, this is I think the shortest paper in the history of publication, and this is by John Conway and Alexander Soifer, and both working on mathematics at Princeton University, and they submitted this paper to American Mathematical Monthly. So this is the entire paper. So this theorem they have posited, they have given, and this figure that is there, and this is a publication and a reputed publication. I'm not saying like your paper must be the length of this type, but again, the nature of publication is different. It is of mathematical type. There is a possibility that you are writing your paper related to aviation, and you find like a certain thing, certain model, or certain equations that are related to your field that you can also submit. So don't feel like we need to write 8,000 words only, and then we can be published, or it will be considered okay. If you have something new to show or to submit, that thing is also considered appropriate. Now, another such, like this is a very brief, again, a paper publication, and a very brief, you can see like very few lines are there. And the search they have mentioned, it's in the form of some calculation, some addition, and that's there, and there is only one reference. So these type of examples we have, and when we have these type of examples, then these examples show that our research finding is important rather than the length of the research. If you are just into the process of copying, repetition into repetition, that is not considered a good research. Even if you have very brief to say, but something original, something significant, then it is published. And not only it is published, but people will cite it for centuries. So when you write something, you also need to cross question that who is going to cite me, because the aim of the publication is that people should know you, people should know about your research, and people must cite you, because you will die one day, but your research will live forever. So that approach, that vision, you need to keep in mind, that I will be remembered after my death from my research, from my work. If you keep that approach in mind, then obviously you will write a very good paper, and it will give you name and fame. Then we have these are the types lengthwise, like original paper, full length paper, short article, book reviews that we have discussed. And when you write any paper, irrespective of the fact whether you are writing for arts and humanities or social sciences, you need to keep in mind that abstract is the most important thing. When you submit something, then abstract is the thing that the editors generally they read. So you can consider abstract is the advertisement of your research. And what is the nature of an advertisement? Advertisements are persuasive, advertisements are concise, advertisements are appealing. So your research is appealing or not, that is reflected through your abstract. So once you write an abstract, you need to cross question whether there is a problem statement. Problem statement means your research is dealing with some research gap that is there, because you are not the first person who is doing a research in that particular area or field. Thousands of thousands of people, they have previously done the research. So you need to try to find out what is the research gap I'm going to find out, then the purpose of the study, then what method, result and finding, conclusion and recommendation. These are the part of abstract. Again, abstract writing is very tricky, uh, and I have certain videos on YouTube of how to write an abstract that you can also find out on YouTube by my name. But still, you need to be give utmost care once you write an abstract. Also, immediately after writing the abstract, you write the keywords. Generally, researchers, they have this misconception that keywords must be from the paper itself. Keywords must be from the words that are used in the abstract. That is not the case at all. Keywords are actually the search buttons for your research. So you need to think of those keywords through which people think in that particular area. So likewise, you need to keep 4 to 5 keywords that will be searched by the prospective researchers, future researchers, and they will find out your paper. And when they find out your paper, then obviously the chances of citation will increase automatically. So as I said, like all the good journals, they are indexed in some directories. So if a journal is not indexed in some reputed directory, then don't go for that type of journals. So good directories are, let's say EBSCO is one such directory. Then you have this Clarivate, fine, Web of Science, that is one directory that you have, and the Scopus that you have. So likewise, you have DOAJ also, but in DOAJ, you will find like open access journals, and these directories are not that reputed, but still you have lots of directories that you will find. So, and at least once, even if there is some journal, then you must try to find out whether it is peer reviewed or not. And these are certain directories that I have written with the link, and you can search your journals here, and you find thousands of journals. For example, EBSCOhost, again, it's a very reputed directory. You have more than 30,000 journals, fine. So likewise, you have different directories and you have different journals. Let's say in DOAJ, you have more than 11,000 journals. So you have different directories, and they must be, the journal, you must be indexed in those directories. So that is again one thing that you need to remember. And if a journal is not listed in the directory, then what does it indicate? It indicates that the journal is a predatory one. What is the definition of a predatory journal? Okay, you give me money, I will publish your work. So you submit your work, and immediately you will receive a call. Okay, you submit this much amount of money, and in a week I will publish your work. So don't go for that type of journals. But to mind you, it is not the case that every journal who takes money is a predatory. That is not the case, because journals, they need to update your information for lifetime. So and if they do not have any funding agency, then also they charge some sort of some amount of money, so that they can place your research for many decades, or let's say forever, on their particular website. Also, you need to find out whether the journal is H index or not, because many journals, they also on their website, they produce this information that our journal is H index, our journal has a very high impact factor. But you need to cross check that thing whether it is actually the case or not. So we have different ways through which we can check this information. So quality journal is always indexed, and for each issue they have a guest editors and call for papers. So quality journals, generally when they have the call for papers, then they will ask you to submit in 6 months. It's not the case like call for papers and within 20 days they are going to publish it. I'm talking about the top quality journals. I'm not talking about the ordinary journals. So this is the case, and then they are published by reputed publication houses like Routledge, Sage, and alike. And the members who are the part of those journals, they are also they are also some reputed scholars, and those journals also the part of some reputed body, society or association, or either they are included in some good ranking universities. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. And when you select a journal or when you write an article, these questions must go in your mind, that okay, who is going to cite my paper, who will read my paper. Fine. So if you keep these things in mind, then definitely you will select a good journal and you will not compromise with any type of publications. So we have the citation index, and citation index basically done through some mathematical equation. So what is a citation index? A citation index is a kind of bibliographic database. So basically, you have a bibliographic database, and we have some sort of ranking. So an index of citations between publications, allowing the user to easily establish with later document cite with earlier documents. So it's more like a library thing, that something is cited properly, so the researchers, they can search the previous published work, and the future researchers, they will find which type of work is not published, and they can work on that particular area. So these are the things which are associated with with citations. And at the same time, we have this notion of H index, and H index includes both quality and also as the quantity of an author. So this H index is more balanced than the impact factor, and because of that particular case, nowadays no one is talking about the impact factor, but most of the journals and agencies, they are talking about H index, because it takes care of quantity as well as quality. So it is not the case that you are a good scholar and you published something very significant 10 years back and now you are doing nothing. If this is the case, then your H index will become 0. So it's the case, the situation is like you are a good scholar, but you are consistently writing good papers. So that is basically included in H index. And for example, if someone has, let's say, 5 citation, and in that 5 citation the person has, and in 5 paper the person has 5 citation, then the H index of that person will be 5. And let's say if person has published only 4, but in all 4 papers the paper is cited by 6 people at least, then the citation of H index is more. So you can see, like, if there are 2 authors A and B, though the author B has published less papers, but the paper is cited by more, then, and each 4 papers, they are cited by at least 6 times. So then your H index is more. So nowadays the quantity doesn't matter, but quality matters. So both the things is balanced in H index. So you need to also do certain efforts that your research is published, but research is cited as well. So it should not be the case that you have written a paper 5 years back and no one has cited till date. That means that was not a good paper. So you need to focus on not only publication, but citation. Who is citing? Who is citing my work? And the citation is the key to find out whether my research or my research area or the way I am doing my research is good or not. So these are certain things which are associated with the publications. And let me check. So we have this comparison of like two scientists, like Edward Witten, H index is 132, but Stephen Hawking's H index is 62. Again, I said, like, the consistency matters. So here it's like a bit funny, like the Edward is saying my H index is bigger than yours, but Hawking is saying, but more people know who I am. So it's a different story. We have made it in the form of a meme or anecdote, but the bottom line is you need to be a consistently good researcher. It's not the case like you have done something good and now you are doing nothing. So it should not happen. And these are the things which are associated, and there are various mathematical tools that are available through which you can check your H index. So it's not the case like you need to apply some formula, you need to check on your own, but various softwares that are available and they tell you what is your H index. So this is for my presentation, and if you have any questions, then I'll be happy to answer. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Amitabh. And please, if you have any question, here in Q&A, I guess we have one question. Dr. Anita, if you'd like to answer it first. Yeah, Dr. Anita.
Yes.
Do you get the question in the Q&A?
Chat box.
In Q&A.
Okay. Hello, sir. My name is. I want to know which one do you enjoy the most? Writing journals, articles, or books? Thank you. Okay, fine. So I've got your question. Your question is like a bit subjective one. That what I enjoyed, like writing books or writing for journals. Now the thing is, both are research activities, but the nature of research is different. Because a book can be a textbook, a book can be a reference book, a book can be, let's say, a research book. So you have different type of books. You can write for, let's say, a primary, secondary, and at advanced level. So the nature of book is not that important. Generally, certain things which are related to book publication, you can also select your publishers. Like, so it's like a self-publishing endeavor as well, that you are selecting your publisher and you are self-publishing your book. That possibility is always there in book publishing. And in that situation, who will check the quality? So like, I'm the author, I'm the financer, and the publisher is simply publishing for me. So the quality sometimes compromised when it comes to book. And but once you go for an academic publication, a research article, and particularly you are publishing in Web of Science, particularly in Scopus Index journal, then at least someone is there to cross check whatever you have done is good or not. So if it is a peer reviewed journal, then obviously someone will give you suggestions that, okay, you can include these research questions also, you can include this objective also in your research. So that type of thing is always available. So as I said, like, I am a poet as well. So I write in Hindi, I write in English language, my poems. So most of the time, once you are a poet, then you won't get publishers so easily. So what you need to do, you need to go for self-publishing. So who will tell that whether I am a good poet or bad poet because I am publishing my own poems? So it's not a story of my only, but most of the creative writers, the story is same. Most of the creative writers, what they are doing, they are just in the search of some publisher. Okay, publish my work, publish my work, publish my work. This is the end of the story. But this is not the story of academic articles, research papers, because there are good journals and it is thoroughly edited, and they will do that work. So as I said, like, nature is different, and audience is also different, because if I write something, let's say a poem or short story, then someone who is doing a research, obviously that person will not read that. Only someone who is in creative endeavor, that person will read. So this is the thing, and I enjoyed both, but at the same time, like, once you are writing for promotions, like to get a higher grade in once you are working in an institution, then obviously books, they do not have, particularly in India, much marks. So even if you are writing many books, you will get only 1 or 2 marks. But if you have a publication in, let's say, good academic journals, then you will get 10 or 15 marks. Though we know, like, a book has more pages, like, and more efforts that is required in publishing a book, but still research paper has more weightage. A research paper is more important than a book. So my suggestion to all young scholars, all young researchers, that don't go for book writing at this juncture. First, at least for 10 years, put your efforts very seriously in research articles, academic papers. That I want to say.
Okay, thank you. And in this Q&A, we still have 2 more questions, Dr. Anita.
Yes. One question is book chapter comes under what category? Book chapters are also the part of a book. So you can go for book chapters as well. Someone will edit that book and a chapter will be by your name. But still, don't go for book chapters. If you are a young researcher, don't go for books now. Put your honest and earnest effort in research papers, research articles. They will give you fame. They will give you a stature of a good researcher, but not these books. Because I know many of my friends, they have published 40 books. Can you imagine 40 books? But the thing is, like, no one is taking their name, because we know like what is there in 40 books. Because Milton once said like a book is a lifeblood of an author. But once someone has published 40 books, then we can clearly understand how much lifeblood is there in 40 books. So again, don't go for this book publication and book chapters now. Initially for 10 years, but publish only in research, these journals like Web of Science and Scopus. Only these two directories are important now. Web of Science, that is Clarivate, previously known as Thomson Reuters, and Scopus, that is one thing. And another person like who has cross question, do recommend good English literature journals. There is no one journal, because I have a list of journals, like more than 1,000 journals. They are listed in SCI or Scopus. I have that list. So don't worry about that. And I'm writing my email ID in the chat box. So you can write to me anytime, and I will send you the entire list of journals where you can publish your articles. So don't worry about that, because there are thousands, like not one or two journals. So there are 1,000 journals that are there. So I can send you a list.
Well, yeah, thank you, Dr. Anita. Talking about age index. So if we do self-citing, let's say I cite my previous publication, will it increase my age index?
Mm. Let me, what I've understood from your question, like how to calculate your H index. So generally H index is like, let's say you have 4 publications, and each publication is like, first publication is published, is cited by 10, second is by 9, third is by 8, and fourth one is by 6. So 1, 2, 3 is more than 6, and last one is 6. So though you have only 4 publications, but your H index will be 6. So this is the way H index is calculated. It means each paper, if let's say your first paper is cited by 1 only, and the rest of the papers, they are cited by 6, then your H index will become 1. So it is the case that all the papers and the maximum numbers, they are cited by. So this is the thing through which we can calculate H index. So it's not the case like one paper is cited by 60 people and another paper is cited by only 5. Then your H index is not 60, your H index is 5. So all the papers, at least they must be cited equally. Then you can calculate your H index in that manner. Those who are cited, there is a possibility that certain papers are not cited at all, but those who are cited, those papers which are cited, so you need to calculate whether equally they are cited the same or not. So if something is cited 2 times, something is 6 times, 7 times, then your H index will become 2, because 2 is equal in all. That is the way you can roughly calculate your H index. And someone's H index is 5 is like a very good researcher, 4 is very good researcher. So it's not the case here that your H index is 1, so you just lose your heart. H index 1 is also a good thing. It's not like a very bad thing.
Thank you for your explanation and your presentation as well, Dr. Anita. We still have 2 minutes, so please attend this, or maybe the panelists, if you have any question to Dr. Anita before we are going to move to the another presenter.
Please move to the next speaker.
Okay. Okay. Thank you once again, Dr. Anta. And now we are going to move to the next presenter. But first of all, let me apologize since our second speaker, or our second presenter, cannot make it due to bad connection. So now we are going to have Dr. Lika Raskofa. Okay, Dr. Lika Raskofa, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Anyone can hear? Anyone can listen to me?
Loud and clear, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Ahmad Rafi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Director of Aviation Politeknik Makassar. And also I would like to say thank you to Mr. Head Sudarmanji as head of TPSD MPU. And also I would like to say thank you to the Muhammadiyah University of Sidanteng for giving me a chance to speak in this occasion. And thank you to the moderator for introducing me in a beautiful words in front. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present my presentation today by sharing screen first. Okay, my title is about change scare to dare, writing academic publication. As we know that why I use the word scare and why I use the word dare, because we know that the first presenter, there are many things that we learn about writing publications, but of course it needs lots of process for us to reach the goal to be able to be published of our writing in a certain journal. Now, what I want to tell you is that if we look into this picture, what is in your mind? You can write in your chat box. If we see this picture, what is in your mind? Okay. Very good. Some of you are writing, oh, I'm very lazy. According to the survey, if someone see this picture in which there is a connotation that is somewhat, or the word writing is embedded in it, there are some words which are very close about this picture. First is scared. People are scared to write. Second is writing is not interesting. Why should I have to write? I like to speak a lot. Writing is boring. If I speak, I can speak for 2 hours, but if I have to write only 30 minutes and then I will sleep. And it is frustrating, especially when we don't have any idea to write. And unmotivated. I don't know how to find motivation to write and how to start it. And I'm very confused. What should I have to write? Either I finish this one and then what else should I write? Sometimes we are very confused. We have no ideas about it. And lots of people, when they have to write, they are very lazy. So those are common expressions or common things in our mind when we have to write. We are scared, writing is not interesting, it is very boring, it is very frustrating, unmotivated, confused, and lazy. Next, what do you think if you see those pictures? Best-selling author, Sinta. I think for Indonesian scholars, they are very familiar with the Sinta. Sinta number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then Scopus, Index Copernicus International. Oh my God. When we have to write, we are very scared, but we are we have a kind of obligation that our writing should be published in those kinds of international index journal. For example, like this, for some people who are already the expert in writing, to be able to be published in international journal, which is indexed by Scopus, Reuters, Thomson, and etc., it will be something that is very easy to be achieved. So are the expressions of people with high intellectuals, with high expertise in writing. They are ready with those targets. Okay, now I want to write about certain writing. This manuscript I will publish in this journal, which is indexed by Scopus. And in front of the laptop, she has high spirit to start to write. She starts writing with high energy because in her mind, she has a kind of imagination that her writing will be published in those reputable international journals. Now, what happens after, but it is only for the expert, but how about some people who are not the expert in writing or just start to learn about writing? After 3 minutes, if in the previous for the expert, they are very highly motivated, but for the first or the beginner of writing, after 30 minutes, this will be his expression. I don't know what I have to write. And then what happens after 1 hour? Oh my God, after 1 hour, my screen is still blank, or if my writing drops under that, I don't even see any letter in my laptop. What's wrong with my laptop? And then we don't believe that our page is still blank after 1 hour. Oh, I think I need intermission. I think I need a kind of entertainment to myself. Okay, let's start to eat first. Usually you eat first. After you eat first, maybe you do other activities. We can see these people are very frustrated to find something to write. She eats a lot with a chocolate, with a burger, with a french fries. She really entertains herself to forget her problems about writing. But then finally, in that day, in the afternoon, we conclude with, what is the conclusion? It happens in the morning until in the afternoon. But at night, what happens? We are very tired to think about how to start writing, and finally we sleep. So in that day, we don't have any product at all. No results, even one letter, we don't produce it. And the next day, we start with the same activities and the same result, that is 0. Finally, we have to be faced by the deadline. Oh my God, in this journal, the deadline is on the 17th of December 2020, but I haven't got any ideas starting from now. What should I write? There are 2 possibilities. Some of us with a high expertise in writing will be very successful by reaching the conclusion during the deadline. For the expert, it will be easy to get the conclusion. But how about for the beginner of their writing? Some of us, maybe most of us, even the title, we don't write it. During we start to reach the deadline, even the title, we cannot produce it. This is what we call as writing phobia. Writing phobia happens because we don't know what we have to write. We don't know how to start. And finally, we come to the conclusion that I cannot write. And even the word is that not only I cannot write, but I'm scared of writing. Now, what are the problems in writing that makes people scared of writing? First is because we are not used to write. We never write at all, and then we come to the assignment. Okay, now we have to write in certain journal, but we don't have any experience in writing before. We just go directly without any habits before about writing. Second is because of lazy. Lazy is something that is very difficult for us to defeat, and also afraid of being wrong. When we are writing, sometimes we are afraid of being wrong. And bad mood in writing will be the biggest cause for the people not to write because I'm still not in a good mood. I think I'll write it tomorrow, and the next day you're not in a good mood again, so you postpone it again and postpone it again. And what is the solutions about those problems? We can see in Surat Arad verse 11, Allah will not change the condition of people until they change what is in themselves. Now it's time for us to change. We have to change. What do we have to change? Don't underestimate yourself. Maybe at the first time you think that your writing is not interesting, or maybe you think that you're not a good writer. Or maybe the worst is you are very scared that your writing will be rejected. Please don't underestimate yourself. No one will respect you if you do not respect yourself, and no one will respect your manuscript if you don't respect your own writing. So, what is the solution for this? Even though I fail, I will gain more experience. You will have some experiences that your manuscript will be rejected 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. But during that process, you will gain more experience. Keep working because when your manuscript is rejected, there must be some reasons why it is rejected. So you can learn from this and you can revise it again. And though it is not maybe, certain journal will write, okay, I'm really sorry because your topic is not synchronized with the topic in our journal, so we cannot accept your article. Although it is not interesting for one journal, there will be other journals that will like it. So please keep revising it and try to send it to other journals. Please don't put your manuscript that is being rejected to the trash bin. If my paper is rejected, I believe other journal will accept it, and I believe I can revise it, and my success is when I enjoy the process, not the result. Please keep in mind that your success is not when you are done in producing one manuscript consisting of 16 or 17 or 25 pages, but your success starts when you enjoy the process of your writing. You have been successful in that level. If you see this picture, what can you say about this picture? Okay, for the house in the left side, the color is blur, and the house in the right side, the color is very clear. So the house in the left side, it reflects our house, and the house in the right side, it reflects the neighbor's house. There is very good expression that we often hear about it. What is it? Neighbor's garden is always greener. We always see someone else's work is always better, and our work is worse than them. To be less or worse or not perfect is not a sin, even with the fact that you find out that your work at the beginning is worse than the other or is not perfect, it's not a sin. Keep being confident with this and keep going on. And when we think our neighbor garden is greener and ours is worse, actually, our neighbor can be worse. We just don't know what is the worst thing in our neighbor. So when you think that your work is not good, so don't worry about it because you have to be sure that other people also suffer the same thing because everyone has their own suffer, especially in writing. So you're not the only one who suffers about writing. So keep going on with that. Sometimes you prefer keeping your, according to you, inappropriate or uncommon idea. Actually, I want to talk about aviation, but I think it's still uncommon because not all of journal, only very limited journal talks about aviation. So I don't want to write about aviation, something like that. You think that according to you, that your idea is still inappropriate or uncommon. So you are thinking, do I have to tell it or not to tell it? Do I have to write it? Do I have to write about this topic or not to write about this topic? So you prefer to keep it because you think that it is not a popular idea. So what happens next? Several weeks later, what happens? What is inappropriate in certain journal can be appropriate or common in other journals. You see that other people write about the topic you want to write. So it means that actually someone else incidentally steal your idea because they come to write that topic first other than you. And the points are the idea that we think it is ridiculous and we decide not to publish it. One day, this idea will be published by other writers. Maybe at the first time you think that your topic is not very appropriate. Oh, it's very stupid idea. It's very ridiculous idea. I don't want to write it. But the fact is one day this idea will be published by other writers. And what you will say, you at that time, when that idea is published by other people, and you will say, I also think the same idea before. But actually you don't realize that you let your idea being stolen by someone else because you are not brave enough to express or to present what you think is very good. And sometimes we are not ready with the failure because you are afraid of being judged, let alone being rejected. Please don't publish it one because I need time because you are afraid of being judged, let alone being rejected. Or you have to realize that failure is close to success, while zero failure never comes to success. Sometimes being rejected 10 times is better rather than not being rejected at all. Because if you are never rejected, if your paper is never rejected, it means that there is no progress that you have. People be successful is not because they are better, but people be successful is because they are brave to bring their weaknesses in writing as part of the process in producing an article. So please be brave, please be confident to write with whatever the condition at the first time you write. Do not be allergic to critics. Sometimes those who criticize your writing are genuinely interested in it and they want your writing better. But sometimes not all of people are ready with critics. And not all of people are ready with the rejected position. But actually, critics and rejected, it's like a pill for us that it will make your paper much better. Now, how about this one? Sometimes when you try to find the ideas, some people, they find the ideas in front of the laptop. Some people find the ideas in front of the laptop. But you have to know yourself. You have to consider, you have to recognize yourself how you can find the ideas. For some people, when they are sitting in front of the laptop, they have lots of ideas come out from their brain, but not with the other people. We can see from the first picture when someone sitting in front of the laptop for 30 minutes and 1 hour and he comes out without anything in his mind about what he wants to write. So please recognize yourself. Try to find any inspiration for you to write. This is the second type of persons that he tries to get inspirations about writing by watching movies. Yes, why not? Or sometimes people try to find the booster for writing not by sitting in front of the laptop, but they try to find the booster by taking a walk or listening to the music. And even sometimes can get the ideas while they are washing the dishes. So in any condition, when you are in the type of this person, you have to bring a kind of note. Or maybe sometimes you are in the bathroom, you are taking a shower. Oh my God, I want to add this point, this point, this. Oh, I got the idea about this point. I believe you have experience about it. And even sometimes when we are praying, sometimes after you finish praying, you got the idea about it. So there must be a kind of simple or small notes for you with a pen or a pencil. Anytime the idea comes, please write it down immediately. Not everyone approaches writing on the same way. We can see that people approach writing not in the same way. Some people like to sit in front of the laptop with a very quiet environment, but some people need a kind of music to listen so he can write. So please recognize yourself. Know yourself about what is a very comfortable place or situation for you to write. To sit down and wait for inspiration to hit you is not true for everyone. Not for me. I cannot sit down and wait for inspiration. I cannot do it. I have to do any kinds of activity. Sometimes I have to go out. I have to drive my car in the car. I get the inspiration from it. So everyone has different approach for getting inspiration for their writing. And some of us will find the right opening or even target while taking a walk or listening to the music. So if that's you, be sure they have a notebook or preferred app handy when inspiration strikes. That's why sometimes our handphone is not only the function of a handphone is not only for the communication. There is notes in the handphone that you can use. So anytime on the street, you are not very close with the laptop. You can be ideal for this. So open your handphone and try to write in your smart notes about inspiration that comes to you at that time. There are two kinds of people. The first people, they are good in speaking, and the people are good in writing. Perfect people, of course, they will be good in both of them. They are good in speaking, they are also good in writing. But the fact is, sometimes people only have one skill. They are only good in writing, but they are not good in speaking. But what happens if in this journal, we have to write the journal, but we are not good in writing, but we are good in speaking. I want to write about this topic. Okay. Yeah, actually, lots of things in my mind that I want to write. I want to write about this one, and the result is like this. When it is the time for you to explain it by speaking, you can explain it in 1 hour. But by the time you have to transfer all of your speaking into the writing form, it is not easy because your talent or your skill have tendency not in writing but in speaking, and you cannot deny it. So how if you have good capability in speaking but not in writing? How to start it? This is how to start. You can start with recording your speaking about your ideas, and then you try to transcribe what you are speaking in your writing. So you don't lose any ideas, any inspiration about the writing topic, about the content of your writings, because when you are speaking, I'm sure people who has a really good ability in speaking, they can speak for 1 or 2 hours without any script, and the idea can flow very easily. And how to use it as a very good resource for us to write. You have to record it. Record in your handphone, talk by yourself, and then you can transcribe the result of your speaking into your writing. It do really help.
I'm sorry,
Done.
Dr. Lika, but
Time
you
is
have
up.
1 more minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Done
have
is
1
perfect,
minute.
and perfect is never done. So what is perfect when it is done? And perfect is never done. Perfect in writing is never finished, only abandoned. You can get to a point where you feel good about your paper, but don't strive for ultimate perfection, because perfection means unfinished. Oh, it is, I think it is still less, or I think because perfection is not finished. What is perfect when you are done with it? Remember that our goal in writing is not the target, but the process. The target of, if you see the target of 20 pages, can be very overwhelming for you and paralyzing. But focus on the writing process rather than the goal. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important for us. Biggest challenge is to defeat our laziness, to defeat our lack of motivation. And biggest challenge is to motivate ourselves. So let's compromise with our weaknesses by asking someone else or group to help us. Let's make community, let's make a group so we can have mutual relationship there, we can motivate one another, and we can inspire one another. To win needs a partner, and to be successful needs help. Let's work together, everyone, to be able to be successful together. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lika, for your presentation. So now here in the Q&A box, we have already 2 questions.
Thank you.
Okay. We will have about 8 minutes for the Q&A.
Yes. I'm wondering, do you write fiction book? Yes, because I like story. Actually, this is not fiction books, but I write research, which is very close with the fiction. That is not this like true story, not fiction, not artificial, but true story that I write. So this is what I mean that what we want to write must be related to what we like. I like story a lot. So when I want to make a research, I make research which is very close with the story that is narrative inquiry. This is very close with the fiction. So if fiction cannot be used in scientific writing, but there is scientific writing which is based on story or true story in which the flow is very close to the fiction. This is what we call as narrative inquiry in our research, and you can choose this for anyone who are interested or have affinity about fiction. Number two is, my name is Fatma. I would like to ask, what is the first thing need to be done to start writing an idea into a journal, and how do we know whether our data is proper enough to put in a journal? To start writing an idea, sometimes idea does not come from the target. Sometimes idea comes from the problem. For example, I have a problem with my students during the online. Some of them are thinking about, Mom, can we use Google Meet? Can we use WhatsApp? Please don't use Zoom meeting because Zoom meeting is very expensive. And then while in the process, some people, some of my students cannot approach even cannot approach that because they are in a very remote areas. That's why the teaching and learning process cannot run successfully. This problem can be my topic for writing. Or even if you don't have any idea to write, I don't have any idea to write. I'm very bored. I'm very frustrated. So write it down. I'm very bored. I'm very lazy to write. I don't know how to start. It can be the topic of your writing. So what is the topic? The difficulties for the beginner to write. It can be a topic for you to write. So the topic can come from the problem. That's what I usually do. During the COVID-19 pandemic, is there a solution so that we avoid feeling bored in carrying out daily activities at home, and a way to make us even more excited about it? Thank you. Should I write this, Ms. Moderator? This is my question.
You may skip to another more relevant question. Maybe we
Okay.
can save it for the last.
How you felt your articles are rejected and how to overcome this condition. Okay. One thing I got into the basic principle for me. The basic principle for me is that I have to do my best. And I work very hard. I always do my ultimate condition for doing that. But after I finish that, I always put in my mind, I have done my best, but I believe God's decision is the best for me. So when I got rejection, it means that this is the best for me and Allah wants me to do something better in my writing. So the point of success is not whether we are rejected or not. The point to be successful, please never stop in our life. If you are rejected, please keep going on writing. If you are rejected again, please keep going on writing. The key of success is not because you reach the target. The key of success is you never stop in doing your writing. If you have to revise it, so revise it. Revise it. If you have to come back with the other revision, so please revise it. What I mean is you have been successful because our success is not the result. Our success is you enjoy the process of it. Sometimes I'm not confident in research I do, especially when it wants to be published. Can the title be accepted in reputable journals because of research like this? Ordinary research, not cool. How can I make myself confident to publish my post? You have to be confident because I believe that Allah gave us strength to write. If someone else can write, so you also can write. What you have to do is collect your confidence, collect yourself that Allah gave you a very big skill for you to write, whether you trust it or not. But if you never try it, of course, you never prove it. Please try it the first time you write. Maybe the first time you write, because maybe it is in English. In one paragraph, you will open dictionary many times. You will check your dictionary many times in one paragraph. That's fine. But the next paragraph, you will open your dictionary less. And the next paragraph, you will use your dictionary less again and less again and less again. This is the process. This is a process of writing. At the first and second paragraph, I'm sure you can do it in 1 or 2 days. But then after you come into it, you get used to it. Just like when we are speaking. When we are speaking to someone, at the first minute, you try to speak to someone that is very special. It will be very difficult for you to start to speak. What should I have to speak? What should I have to open my conversation? You are very busy. But at the 1 minute you come into it, the first 2 and 3 minutes you enjoy it, and then you finally can get communicate even for 3 hours and you cannot be stopped. That's also the way in writing. If you never start, you don't know the joy of writing. So please write, even though the result is not good, so that's fine. And please don't ever think that you are the only person that get the worst writing. The other people writing is also can be worse than you. Please trust yourself. The next one is from Boswa University. So my question is, have you read something, whether article, scientific, or literature, and suddenly we stuck in halfway because we're not ready? What should we do, ma'am? Okay, it happens to me too, and I have to finish my doctorate degree. In the middle of it, I have to stop it because I don't have any ideas. Please go to the campus. Get along with the people who have community in writing. They do help us. If I just stay at home, the result is I will be left with my other friends who can finish their work. Because friends, this is a kind of circle. When we stop, it doesn't mean that we run out of our ideas. No, but we need motivation to keep going. How to find motivation? Your friends is a very good person for giving you motivation, because people always have instinct that you don't want to be defeated in your life, even in your writing. When you see your friend and your friend is writing, there will come instinct in your mind. I don't want to be defeated by my friends. If my friend can write, I also can write too. So please get community. It can be in the campus or community everything, or you try to open some tips about writing. So it means that don't sit and wait for hidayah to write. No, the hidayah of writing will never come to you. You have to chase it. You have to find the hidayah of writing. Okay, don't stop. If you want to stop for a while, it's okay. Okay, today, I want to entertain myself. I want to watch movie. I want to go to the restaurant. I want to eat myself. That's fine. But only in one day. There's limitation of that. The next day, please go to the campus. Meet with your friends who are also writing, or you try to find the internet. How to boost my motivation in writing? You have to be very.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Dr. Lika, but
Sorry,
that was your last question because the time is up. I'm really sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm really
Thank
sorry.
you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can answer in the Q&A.
Okay.
If you don't mind to type
Okay,
your
I'll
answers.
do it. I'm sorry. I'm out of time. Sorry. Let's take the time. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
So now, yeah, thank you.
Aditya.
So now we are going to have Professor Muhammad Basri, PhD from State University of Makassar. The time is yours.
Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thanks to Aditya for this opportunity, and it's good for me to be with you, and I see all participants and some faces of the participants are familiar with me. Of course, I'm happy to join and hear the explanation starting from Dr. Asripan, my sparring academic partner in dealing with bilingualism. And what I'd like to say is already said by the presenters before, starting from Dr. Asrefan, an excellent explanation from Dr. Amita, and a tremendous presentation from Dr. Lika, with full illustration. All I like to say is already there, so I don't need to repeat and repeat again. And I would only my session today will be only dealing with my experience. I'd like to share my experience in writing of article for publication. All my articles that already published is research-based articles. Doing research-based article, that means that is a long-term investment. It's not as simple as pie. The metaphor says it's a long-term investment in academic. So Dr. Lika is right. Then when doing this in the way we are doing our doctoral study, there will be a starting point as well. And not like me, is being passive after completing my PhD in Victoria University, Australia, because I'm directly getting offering a job in UNESCO. Then I go to UNESCO for a couple of years, and of course, wow, no time to publish at all. Only after coming back from UNESCO, then start to write an article in 2016, I think, starting from 2015, because I'm back from Timor-Leste, and starting to think where I should start. And directly because I've already invested my time to do my PhD for at least more than 4 years in Australia. Then try to refresh again my academic, and to start with. Then the presenters before already suggest that for the beginners, try to look at the publishing, which is not which is considered in SGR we call a key for quality. Then I start to think from my research in Australia, then it's better to have this title. Thinking about the title first. The title is because my post issues in my dissertation is like I put one variable, perception of the teachers, mainstream teachers in doing in supporting children's bilingual development in Australian school context. Then I take out this and put the title, because the perception create attitude. Then I select the title like attitude and approaches of the teachers to support children's biliteracy development and bilingualism in Australian school context. That is the first article that I published for the first time. and as follows through the guidelines from the template of the journal that I target to, then I write down the title is already okay because it's already wider. Then I develop through introductions because there are only at least 5 to 6 essential elements in writing article, starting from titling, abstracting, introductions, review of literature, methods, discussion, finding and discussion, and conclusion. That's the only things in article. It's simple, but it takes time. Yeah. Then I try to think as Dr. Lik says, and Dr. Amita says, in the introduction part, we need to introduce the theoretical gap. Yeah, the theoretical gap that it is not coming automatically. We need to read articles. We need to read many articles to find the gap, because the gap is not the writers create, but it is the suggestions, the statement from an expert that, oh, okay, this one, there is little attention on the work of the literacy development worldwide. That is the gap. Then I like to contribute to this little attention. Then we come to that particular gap. Then this how we write our article. And then we go to review of literature. Of course, we need to stay the state of the art of our study or the topic that we are writing about. Then after that, you find the grand theory, you find the big names in the area in the area of our study. Then we come to the methods that we should clearly explain the way we conduct data analyzing, etc. Then come to the discussion part, confirming the existing theory or rejecting the existing theory, or we introduce the new theory and we confirm in the conclusion part and recommendation. This the article. If we have already successfully published an article and becoming an addictive, we feel not good if we don't publish already. We need to come to this stage. If not, then writing becoming challenging for us, becoming like a difficult things to do. As the Lika suggests, that we need to write in order to get to the addictive stage. If we are already addicted to write, then we'll never giving up hope to publish every single month or even a week, etc. Okay. Now that's my post experience in dealing with my post publication. But before that, I've already invested joining conference worldwide, talking to the big persons in the field, like for example, because my area is in the area of biliteracy development and bilingualism. And once I got opportunity to present my work in Barcelona in international symposium on bilingualism, this also inspire us meeting with the high reputable academician in the world. It inspires us that, wow, that's really great. We talked to the person who already produced a lot of books, like Jack Richard in New York, and Lee Wei in Chicago, etc. So that's how the academicians get involved themselves to be knowledgeable. Of course, in doing one article, then we invest many times, so many times to do that, and of course every person, every academician has unique experience. Like my experience, I should be able to write some publications when I'm dealing with my PhD, but in fact it is not. Australia last time didn't push the students to publish, but to complete the study, go home earlier because you got the Australian scholarship, etc. That is, we didn't use the best opportunity. So the point I like to say from the beginning is that when we do the doctoral study, this the goal chance to publish, because we interact with the academicians, so many friends in campus, etc., to share our knowledge, to ask the problems we have, etc. That's a very good idea. I agree with Dr. Lika that go to campus, because campus can help you out. It is like a very good service for us, and it will help us. It will help us writing up our what we think and what we have research about. So point number one, do some research, because nowadays no publication will publish if it's not a research-based article. Yeah, very common, that one. You can publish your work in a very short time, and even you send today, the result coming as soon as they receive your manuscript, but they consider these publications called predatory journal. So we don't want to give a virus for our academic experience and academic. If we write an article in predatory, once we write article in predatory, and we will be blamed by others, other writers, other authors and readers will look down us. So we should avoid this. We should avoid publishing in predatory journals. And the list is there. If you can have a look at the Bell predatory journalist, then you could see all the predatory journals. You don't have to do, because it only they only think our money, not our credible journal that we create, or the quality. Okay. Um, uh, After that, because I'm already and try to select the journal, and the journal I don't go to the Q2 plus, but I'm walking around and targeting Q4 because this is my post experience. And after that, I try to have another issue in my dissertation, and then okay, I like to because I'm already familiar with the how to write to write scholarly papers. Then from Q4 and jump to Q1. I tried to send my article to multicultural and multilingual development in UK, and I got so long answers from the editor, and after that, because I didn't have any some response from the editors, then I sent again my manuscript to Xlingua, another key one journal in the field of language and linguistics. And
I'm sorry, Prof, that your time is almost up.
sorry?
You have 1 minute left.
Oh, okay. At least all my points I already mentioned one. That's this my conclusion. We work from bottom and up until higher. If you got only key 4, then try to get quiz 3, quiz 2, and key 1. And continue to do that one. Right. We had to get a bank of article draft and to send to any journal that are available, and avoid the predatory journal. I think as the academics, that's the only thing. This repeating. Once we get familiar with the very nice titling, very nice abstract, introductions, review of literature, method, finding and discussion, and conclusion, and that's only it for a good article. Okay, I think that's all, because time is quite limited for us, and maybe the interaction is very nice. Back to Aditya. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, we will have about 8 minutes for Q&A. Please attend this if you'd like to ask some question to Professor Muhammad Basri, PhD from State University of Makassar. One question, Prof. If I'm not mistaken, you have 9 publications in this 2020. So
Yes.
how to make it possible? We only have 12 months and you have 9 publications. Please give us some tips to do exactly the same thing like you did.
Thank you. I'm already coming up in the level of addictive writer. So if I don't publish, I feel not good. So if I write it, I feel good. That's my stage now. And Dr. Lika is also right. Then get community. If you don't have any community, oh, that will be difficult. Luckily, my position now as the head of doctoral studies in UNM. Then I got my supervisory, some supervisory. I encourage them. I asked them to come, and we get together to write down articles and some articles successfully done. And also the other inspiration is because now if we publish, then there will be a reward from campus, reward from government. Then that's the thing also support us and to do writing, to always write, go write, because we already do some research. We want the HIBA, the competition from DPRM. Then we got to do some research and research output, etc. As well. This make me in 2020 is a very good time to show and to publish the articles, because we got many sponsors that support our research. So this you get to because we don't need to spend our own money for doing research. That's how we got a lot of publication, then it will be easier getting fund from the government. This all how I experience in.
Okay, so we need to get into the right community to
Yes.
get motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Prof, we have one question in Q&A box.
Yes.
Okay. Do you get the question?
Okay. How to find novelty in our research. Novelty is not coming. It is coming automatically after doing research, because I'm familiar with the qualitative research. When we do qualitative research, we do ethnography or case study. Then, of course, we'll produce novelty, because we'll create new theory in the particular research that we are conducting. So when you don't have any, you don't create new theory in your research, then we don't produce novelty. If you just repeat the existing literature, there's no need. No publication will consider our article to publish, because the first question from the editor is that what's the new things in here to publish. If no new things to publish, that means that we don't have any chance for our article to publish. So for things we do research, then we create novelty. Novelty, that means that we create something which is not available yet in the world. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation and also your explanation, Prof. Muhammad Basri. And next, we are going to have Ms. Fides del Castillo, Doctor of Education. Okay, Ms. Fides del Castillo, the time is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon to all. I'm really happy to be here in your conference, and I would like to thank Dr. Andy for inviting me here. So as Dr. Basri have mentioned, it's quite difficult if you're at the last part of the conference because all the things were already given by the other researchers. And I think what I'd be going to do this afternoon is to also share with you my own experiences. So allow me first to present to you. I'm from the Philippines. I am an associate professor and a research fellow in our university, in De La Salle University. And there is already a research culture in the university. So it means that we use research for promotion. We also use research whenever we teach our students. I'm also part of Lumina Foundation, which is an organization that caters to researchers, no, early researchers and educators. And we have a small community that supports each other. That's why we were able to come up with different conferences and give several support to emerging researchers. So why am I sharing this one to you? So as mentioned by Professor Basri a while ago, you need to have network. You need to have a community who will help you and support you, especially when you are doing research. So allow me to present to you my objectives for this afternoon. First is we'll try to articulate different approaches to start a research paper. I have read in the chat box a while ago that there are a lot of questions about this. Hopefully, I'll be able to share you some tips and, of course, to devise ways to start your research paper, develop and collaborate a research paper with other researchers, and to know tips to present your paper and publish it. A very personal sharing. I started my research or my writing into 2011. That's very recent. So it just started with a textbook. So eventually, afterwards, I tried to also write different, because my area of specialization is in religious education and in values education. So all the textbooks that I am writing is on this. And then eventually in 2013, that is my first academic book, I was actually introduced to international research by the De La Salle University, Manila. And it started there, my writing of articles. Okay, I started writing in abstracted and then eventually in scopus. These are just some of my publications. Why am I sharing this? Okay, this is not to brag about the papers that have been published, but I would like to tell you that I started from zero. I started from nothing. I started from the ground. So there is just a dream to share ideas. There is a dream for me to let my voice be heard through writing research. And there is a dream to help others through research. That's why it started. So I think this is true for those who would like to start their own research, no? So you can actually dream. That is actually the very start in order for us to be able to publish. And I don't know if you have seen this movie, okay, The Robots. There is a quotation here that says, see a need, feel a need. So it only tells us that if there are needs, okay, there are problems, there are things that you would like to work on, you need to actually feel and address that need. So that is the main purpose of research. Research is done in order for us to come up with and address problems, in order for us to solve several problems that we encounter in the daily. And how are we going to write an article? So we write an article because this is for us to disseminate our research, to disseminate our ideas, to be able to contribute to the community. Okay, so these are actually some of the tips to write a research paper. This was actually have shared by the other professors. Okay, so you choose a topic that interests you. It's very important that your topic should actually arouse you. It should interest you, because if you do not like what you are doing, you will not be able to it. So that's the first. The second one is gather your resources. You read and keep record. Third is create an outline or a mind map, and then develop your paper, and then rethink and revise, and then proofread and edit. Okay, so the first thing is you have to select your topic. So in order to select a topic, again, go back to the main question. What is the problem? What is the big problem that I have to solve? And by doing that, you connect it to your own interest. If you are interested in aviation industry, you try to look for different, different problems in this area. One example is this. Before I proceed to that, I'd like to share with you the 4 A's in writing an article. The first one is to look for the aim. What is the aim of your research paper? The second one is, who is your audience? Are these students? Are these scientists? Are these pilot or other audiences? You need to also be aware of the existing research and political debates, so that you will be able to ground your own research. And lastly, you have to articulate the framework. As what I've mentioned a while ago, find a theory in order for you to be able to share that. Okay, so this have been mentioned a while ago. What are the main elements of an article? You started with the title, okay, abstract, introduction, the body of the work, the methodology, and then the conclusion. I'd like to give you one example, okay? This was actually published in October 2020, okay? It's under the Journal of Air Transport Management. It says here, the impact of COVID-19 on the global airline industry, an event study approach. So there is a problem. What is the problem? So there is the pandemic. We have the pandemic, and all travels, the airline industry was actually affected by it. So they tried to look and see an event study approach. Okay, so the authors, they tried to highlight these concerns. Okay, the first one is they tried to examine the impact of the pandemic of COVID-19 on the global airline stock performance. And then they tried to look at investors, how they react differently during the 3 selected events. So they tried to look at one, the post period of the WHO and President Trump's official announcement. So this is the strongest overreaction after trying to to shut down all the other global airline, economics, etc. So what are their findings? They found out that it confirms that the traders in Western countries are more responsive to recent information than the rest of the world. So if we will be thinking about that, so what is the effect of this to our, in Southeast Asia, since we are not responsive, in the recent information, so we will be left behind. So what will be the solution? That can actually be another research that you can actually look at. So there is a problem, you try to solve it. If there is another problem, this is a chain of giving solutions to different problems. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We have to actually gather different resources. The professors a while ago mentioned you read and keep record. So these are some of the websites that you can actually look into. So there is free databases, online resources, so that you can actually check different researches. And you can actually put more information if you will be reading them and analyzing them. And then there are also some ebooks and other resources that are actually free. So you can just, everything is online. We just need to actually look out for what is essential, what is important. The next step is to create a mind map or an outline. So once we have the problem, we try to get we would like to do a research on that, we need to create an outline, okay? So sometimes we do different ways, no? There are different methodologies in creating an outline. It's up to you, okay? As long as you will be able to build up your research, okay? Based from identifying the research, preparing it, building the conceptual framework, and then the methodology. These are some of the two types of research. It was also mentioned that if you like to do qualitative research, okay, it's quite different when you do quantitative. Okay, the main difference is in qualitative, this is to understand the underlying reasons and motivations. That's why you do in-depth interview or maybe a survey, okay? But the data or the sample is just small in number. While if you like to do quantitative, that is generalizing the results from the sample of the population. So you need to have large numbers of representative, and you will be using statistical tools. So these are some of the types of research under quantitative and qualitative, okay? Now, the main structure of a research would be from introduction, the body, and then the discussion and in conclusion. I use this figure because usually when you write a research, you start with generalization. Okay, so it's the big idea. And then it's like a funnel. Slowly, you will go to the main theme or main topic of your research. And then you answer the questions, why, how, what is the topic, and so what. So you have to conclude with your idea. You have to include your new idea. It should not be a repetition of the other researches. There should be something new in your research. And from there, other people who will be reading that should be actually gaining something from your research. There are different popular citations or styles that you have to check, okay? So usually in the articles that I am publishing, we usually use APA, okay? Because I am under psychology, education, and humanities. So always check with your mentor or your publication journal about the style that you will be using before submitting it to your to the journal, okay? And then, of course, before finalizing everything, you have to think, rethink, and revise, okay? So you have to go back again to the introduction and see the connection from beginning to end. There are some tools that you can actually use for proofreading and editing. These are free tools that you can use. Usually, I use Grammarly for my research, okay? So there are also Hemingway, Wordy, Ginger, or Spell Check Plus. So it's up to you which one you are comfortable with, okay? So this is some of the tips that you can do to write a research, okay? In terms of looking at the publication pyramid, I'd like you to look at this pyramid, okay? This is actually a pyramid according to the German Research Foundation, okay? So journal is just one type of research. there is also the dissertation, there is also the book. So what is the pyramid about? So we can say that the lowest form, okay, it can be the grade literature. What are these? This can be the article in a magazine or maybe an article in the newspaper, okay? So that is the basic publication that we can have. Next is technical reports or patents. And then next in the pyramid is the thesis and dissertations. Okay, so if you have produced that, that means that it's publishable. It can be published. Okay. The next one is conference paper. So if you have attended a conference and you presented a paper, that is publishable. And then the next one, the next higher category is the journal article. Okay. And then followed by book chapter, book editorship. This means anthology. So you try to edit a book with different chapters. And the highest form of publication is single authorship books. Okay. So it means that when you publish something, okay, there are different categories and you can just choose whether you can do the one that is basic or the one that is higher. Now, this is just used in order for us to identify the different kinds of publication. Okay, and lastly, when you publish, researchers must submit their articles to their respective academic disciplines that each have their own journals to publish. So let's try to look at the production, the distribution, and consumption. Since most of you are in aviation, okay, I tried to come to research in Scopus preview, the subject area under tourism, industrial relations, aerospace engineering, and general engineering. You can actually just check also the other subject areas, okay, if this is not your area of specialization. But if you'll notice, you'll find here there are 2019 results. This is just under Scopus. Okay. There are a lot of journals, other journals that you can actually look at. So that means there are so many opportunities for us to actually publish online. And another way to look at is in Saimago Journal and Country Rank. So again, I tried to enter the term aviation, and there are 48, okay, under this category under Saimago. Before I end my presentation, I would just like to show you where you can check this. So this is the website for Scopus, okay? So you can find here the different percentile. So for example, I will be clicking here the tourism management. This is 99 percentile. So it means that the journal is quite very high, okay? So you can look for the journal. You can click this one so that you can actually go to the website of International Journal for Tourism Management. Another way is go to Saimago, okay? So when you click, for example, let's click here, aviation, okay? So you'll find here the H index of the journal publication. And then below this, you'll find here what quartile is this journal, does it belong? So you'll find here that there are 4 quartiles, okay? It just tells us the H index of the journal. So here, it's quartile 4. The highest is actually quartile 1 if you will be submitting in a Scopus journal, okay? So I will be sending you the link of this website so that you can explore and check, okay? The thing here is, I hope that you will be able to be encouraged, to publish. That's the main reason why I have shared these things. So I hope you have learned something from this very short lecture. And again, Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, Ms. Fides del Castillo, for your presentation and your explanation. Now let's see, we have 2 questions in Q&A box.
Okay, let me read. Okay, I am highly respect your explanation. My question is, when you started to collaborate with other researchers in organization, could you inform to us the best method so that your point of view could be accepted, ma'am? Okay, thank you for this question. When I started collaborating, the first thing is for me to check whether the person has the same interests with mine. Okay, so for example, right now we are working on the religiosity scale. This is actually created by Dr. Stefan Huber from Switzerland. He is from the University of Bern. So I tried to contact the person, the author, and after that, we tried to validate the scale, and we actually collaborated with some of our colleagues coming from Taiwan, from the Philippines, and from Switzerland. So it's the matter of looking at your common interest and then trying to contact people who would actually be open in collaborating with the research. So right now we have published actually 2 articles under this research topic. So I hope I have answered your question. The next question is, how do you pour the content of thoughts that are Dita said in a good, correct writing so that it can be accepted by the wider community? Okay, so if we look at the content of thoughts, okay, we try to actually see, again, I will go back to my main point. Whenever we publish, we try to see what is needed, what is the problem, what is the big question, and does it actually resonate with my interest or my passion in writing. And then eventually, I have to look for different resources in order for me to make my ideas so that I can actually get different resources to make my topic more interesting. Okay, and in order for me to add to that idea. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, well, thank you. Ms. Fides, I'd like to ask you a question as well.
Okay.
From your presentation, you mentioned before that we need to make a mind map or outline. But maybe sometimes people, or maybe someone like me, we have some difficulties when we have to put what we have in our head, our ideas, into an outline. So do you have any tips? What do we need to do first to be able to make a good outline or mind map? Thank you.
That's a very wonderful question. Thank you for that. In my experience, what I do is whenever I have so many ideas in mind, what I do is I would just write it down. I'll just write down all the ideas. And then once I have all the ideas, I will categorize them. So I will group them into topics from different topics. And then from there, I will try to see the connection of each topic. So for example, one recent study, as I've mentioned a while ago, is the religiosity of here in the Philippines. So we tried to look at religion first, okay, all the topics of religion, and then going to the religiosity, to culture of the Philippines. And then afterwards, we focus on the youth. So there are so many things that we can actually think of, but there are the three categories that we can actually group together. So one is the bigger idea of religion, and then eventually is the religiosity as a culture, as an ideal or a practice, and then what is the religiosity of the young people. So from general to the specific. And then eventually we'll try to look what is the best fit method that we can actually use using this kind of research, so that we'll be able to make sure that the outline will be clear. There is a flow from the introduction until the conclusion.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Ms. Fides.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me check if we have another question. Could you please to send your email, please?
Okay, I
One of the
will.
attendees.
Yes, I will. Okay. I will write it in the chat box, right?
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fides. And
Thank you.
yeah, actually, we have 5 presenters, 5 speakers today, but one of them cannot make it join with us in this webinar, but Dr. Mustaba already prepared a video in YouTube, in his YouTube channel. So maybe I can share his video, and if the attendees have any question, then you may send your question in his YouTube channel.
Soalnya belum di-share Pak Adit.
Mungkin di reshare kembali Ibu Aditya. Baru nanti ada 2 klik, ada 2 nanti di bawah itu kita klik semua dulu sebelum di-share.
Ya, maaf,
Supaya
gimana,
kelihatan, supaya kedengaran suaranya.
Pak? Oh, iya.
Iya, di stop dulu baru di reshare kembali, di-share ulang supaya kedengaran suaranya. Oke. Oke. Ya, share baru ada nanti sebelum pas mau di-share itu ada pilihan dicentang di samping di anunya itu ada dicentang 2 itu. Dicentang semua. Kalau di-share ada dicentang. Oke, supaya coba.
That in
Oke,
academia,
sudah ada suaranya kan?
also in some industry, either it's in aviation industry or any other manufacturing industry, that when they are working on a specific kind of new innovation and improvement or enhancement in their processes and procedures, so they need to conduct a research study, also need to find out somehow some kind of satisfaction among their customers and their workforce as well. So like we all know that nowadays in all such domains, the publication is also very important. Either you are a pedagogue or student, you need to fulfill your KPIs and your work performance indicators. And also if you want to receive a degree from your university, so before getting the degree you need to fulfill, in some university there is also publication requirements. So all the time whenever I have discussed such issues on different platforms with researchers and also with some students as well, they are currently not into this process. So they have several concerns in terms of quality research work, that what are the major elements which they need to keep in consideration while doing a research. So first of all, one of the very important element for which can further leads to quality research work is it's about the uniqueness of your research, the application of your research, the implication of the particular research area. So nowadays, if we talk about in the field of education or in the field of engineering, so currently due to this COVID-19, there are several new fields. Nowadays, they are emerged in the field of those fields where they were previously they were not that much enhanced nature of research areas or clusters. So first of all, as the major part is the uniqueness and originality of the research. The research have the unique part in that, the one who is contributing to the body of the knowledge or to the body of the methodology. So that have a element of uniqueness or novelty in that. Similarly, I will always prefer and also recommend to the researchers as well, also to my PhD and master students, that go for some real-time contextual issues and problems. They are associated with the current scenario, and in that particular domain, that particular area, you will find out the realistic nature of problems and go and further explore on that. So if the problem is new, the problem is latest, and also real-time problem, then there is more potential that that work will be published on priority. So this is also one of the major element which we have to keep in consideration, that we need to focus for those areas where the problem, either it's a contextual, global, or like nowadays, if we can look at those repositories which are keeping the journals like such as the Scopus and Web of Science. So if we go towards those repositories and search engines, then we find out that nowadays the current latest trend is COVID-19 related research articles. Either they are from the medical sciences, either they are from the social sciences or other domains. So nowadays this is one of the field which is in trend. So we also have to find out that what are the areas in our field. Either we are selecting that field for our studies, either we are selecting that field for conducting a research. So we also have to refer to those particular trending areas or the current areas where people around the globe are doing research. So that will help us to further strengthen our literature review as well. Literature review is the backbone of your research work. It's either literature review of a research study, or literature review you added in a research article. So most of the reviewers, and also in the initial screening, the editors are also focusing for the quality and strength of the paper based on its literature review. So you must have to keep this in consideration, and this thing also become true, as I have discussed, that that should be related, relevant, and latest. So if you are targeting real-time issues and real-time problems, then your literature review will also highlight some recent research articles. And it is also recommended that the research literature review should not be more than 5 years old. It will, if your literature review is a bit older, then means that the problem and the concerns which is in the domain of editors and reviewers, so they will highlight this part, that must update your references and citations and into latest one. So similar to that, as we know that this is one of the offense and also a crime in the general research field, and as well nationally and internationally, that don't copy and paste others' intellectual property. Plagiarism is one of the major issue that some of the new researchers, they don't have this idea. So keep this in mind, that don't plagiarize someone's work. This is their work, and if you want to, you are focusing for quality research journals, and you want that you will publish your work there in quality research journals. So don't go for a copy and paste approach. Don't go for that. Try to if you want to like acknowledge someone, if you want to write someone's perception and idea with the support of in your findings, and you want to support with others work in terms of literature, so rephrase. Not there is also another kind of like for example, if you are talking about some softwares like Turnitin, so it will just focusing for the words but not the idea of the researcher or the idea of the previously published work. So you have to keep in consideration whenever you are also taking the idea and writing in your own words, but you must have to keep that particular author or the particular researcher and cite in your work. So it will also strengthen your work, and you will also give acknowledgement to that particular author who guide you in terms of exploring in this area, and that findings are supporting your study. So these are some indicators towards like novelty, uniqueness. Go for the real-time issues and problems, and go to those repositories which can further highlight and give you the complete idea that what are the most trending fields in your targeted particular domain. And also one of the major concerns which sometimes those reputed journals, they will also list you as in the blacklist. They can add your name there, and they will not further consider your work for initial screening and review process when you will send them some plagiarized material or plagiarized work. So keep these things in consideration, and most of the students and new researchers, they highlighted that because they have no idea about that particular thing. So when they realize this, and then they feel regret on that. So this is also one of the very important element which we have to keep in consideration. So another thing that when you are doing literature review and when you are working on your research work, so during that time you also find out that some reputed research journals as well, from where you are going to review or downloading the articles for. So also keep them and make a list of those research journals. So it will further guide you when you will, because when you are targeting some research articles, they must be related and relevant with your field. So similarly, it's suggested that you can come up with a list of, during a literature review, come up with a list of those relevant and related research journals which are associated with your field. So when you will complete your study and you are interested to publish, then it will be further guide you to to submit to those journals. Also nowadays, if we talk about in terms of publication, in terms of publishing your work in reputed journals, so as we know that due to the advancements and so many new also true news as well as a fake, and also false and fake news as well, that usually we also receive several emails on the daily basis where the journals have sent us that they are indexed with reputed bodies such as Web of Science and Scopus, and please submit your paper to that. Don't waste your work. Don't send to those predatory and fake journals. You must have to first take the authenticity, and you have to verify those journals from these repositories. Either they are listed in Scopus and Web of Science. I have so many cases and such issues. We used to heard such news that the person who is new in this domain and field, he or she had sent their paper to those predatory and fake journals. And what happened then, when their work is online, and they also ask them to pay some certain amount for publication, they are just they put your paper online, and when you will send to some other journals, then they will consider as a plagiarized work. So don't waste your work. Keep this in mind. Most of the higher education commissions around the world, they have their recognized lists of recognized journals. So you must have to keep this in consideration, and it is very important that when you are sending your work to any journal, so must take this thing in consideration, that verify its indexing, verify its reputation and ranking, either it's in specific ranking of Q1, Q2, Q3, or either Scopus or Web of Science. So you must have to keep such things in consideration while sending your papers to journals. So the publication is also one of the challenge, and it's, as we know, that there are some journals, they also charge a huge amount for publication. So if your university or some supporting bodies have some scholarship and funding issues, some journals also refer you to some fees waiver. So you can also avail this opportunity that you can, if you are in that list where they can provide or offer you some fee waiver in the publication fee waiver. So you can also avail this, but such as some reputed publisher, if you are publishing closed access, then sometimes the fees is completely waived off, no need to pay. But if you are targeting for open access, where there is more chances that your work get recognized and cited in new research studies. So in the particular open access journals, you need to pay a certain amount. So if you are new in that domain, if you are focusing for these particular things, so must have to take some help from your supervisor, those friends or teachers, they already have experience of this, or either you can go to these reputed journals indexings as well, and then you can search there. It will guide you that either the publication of this journal and indexing of this journal is still continue with that body, or they discontinue with this. So they used to revise on annual basis. So this is one of the major concern which is required from especially for the students and the new researchers. They must have to keep this in consideration, that they must verify their journals where they are interested to send prior to submitting their papers to those, and they must verify the reliability and authenticity and quality of that journal. So it will further guide you to don't face this challenge in the future. So this is all from my side, and I hope that it will help you to further deal or mitigate those challenges which are associated with publication and the major indicator and measures which we have to keep in consideration for quality research work. So I wish you all the good luck, and I'm very thankful to the organizers for inviting me to this wonderful.
Yeah, well, that was that is the last presentation of today. So, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of our presentation in this today webinar. We would like to say thanks again for all of the presenters for their informative and interesting talk, and to all of the attendees for your active participation. Hopefully this presentation will be beneficial for everybody. Next, I will give it back to the host, please.
Thank you for Ms. Aditya Octaviani as setting moderated during the session. Thank you for all speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the end webinar, and we would like to extend our gratitude to the Director of Aviation Polytechnic, to Research and Community Service, Aviation Politeknik of Makassar, and Muhammadiyah University of Sidindan Rapa, and to all speakers for supporting to this webinar. And all participants, thank you for your participation on this international webinar. Finally, Mulyati, on behalf of host and committee, we would like to extend once again our deepest appreciation. Don't forget to fill your name and also your email on the link on the chat, or you can click the link for e-certificate and make sure that it is correct. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay innovative. See you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for speakers, Mr. Sandi, Bu Mulyati.
Iya.
Thank you, Kanda.
Thank you.
Ibu like, terima kasih Ibu Lika.
Dok Andi,
atas
thank you.
waktunya.
Terima kasih Pak Ahmad Bahrawi, Pak Ahmad Rasidi, terima kasih. Ibu Mulyati, terima kasih. Thank you, Fidel de Castillo. See you, bye.
Adalah. Nah, alhamdulillah.
Selamat Om Ros.
Ya, alhamdulillah selesai. Thank you, Memuli. Thank you. Thanks for all. Ya, saya tahu apa deh. Bye.
Saya akhiri ya.
Ya, ya, ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.